What is wrong with our politicians? What is wrong with the people out there? If you support this, you're just, that's inhumane. And to me, you've got to be sick. You really have.
Right up until birth, a baby has no human rights protection.
That takes me back to the Germans, how they treated people there in the Holocaust and how they just treated people and murdered them. This is murder.
I grew up thinking Pauline Hanson's racist. Are you racist?
I had a 3-year jail term.
Maximum security.
Yeah. So anyway, with other murderers and different ones.
Wow. What is this like? What is it like being Pauline Hanson?
Yeah. I didn't know we were doing this.
What?
No.
Really, you didn't know we were doing this?
No.
Where did James tell you?
Nothing. Just I'm coming here to meet you.
Oh, okay.
So that's right.
You're allowed to do an interview?
Yes, I did.
Pauline didn't know. You genuinely had no idea, but I'm so grateful to meet you. I'm going to film a piece to camera. Well, good that you're here. All right.
It's a story of my life.
Yeah. Wow. We have a real treat for you today. I'm sitting here with perhaps Australia's most controversial politician, Pauline Hanson.
Hi.
And today on the Dr. Joe Show, we're going to talk with Pauline about all things to do with the late-term abortion payment, what is driving her, what she's interested in. And I'm also interested in getting to know you, Pauline, like what makes you tick. I feel like we get one view from the mainstream media. I still remember as a little girl, meeting you for the first time on 60 Minutes. Not in person, on 60 Minutes.
Okay.
On 60 Minutes through that filter. And the way they presented you. And I'm really excited that you're here in our home and we get to meet you in person.
Thank you.
That's today on the Dr. Joe Show. So it's so nice to finally meet you, Pauline, and thank you so much for coming all the way to Adelaide to have this chat. So, yeah, welcome.
Well, it's been important to me because I've watched you with your interviews and your stance on this issue, and I think it's very important. I think Australians need to know. And this is the problem, is that they don't understand the abortion bills that have been passed in our parliaments and what it allows these women to do. And I think it's wrong.
It's up to birth, isn't it? And most Australians
Correct.
have no knowledge of the fact that right up until birth, a baby has no human rights protection.
Correct. And I was speaking to a couple on the flight down and I said, this is a big issue for me and I'll be speaking about more when I go to Parliament. And so anyway, and when I explained to them, you can have abortion up to birth, and they said, no, that's not what we thought. We thought it's about 12 weeks or so. I said, no, it's not. And I said, it's so wrong. They said, yes. And this is the problem. They put out the campaign, a woman's body, a woman's rights. Sorry, it's not just your rights. It's really, protecting that child. And let me get this straight. I'm not against abortion, but in the first trimester, all right? To think that you can have an abortion right up the day before birth is wrong. I've got 4 children, all right? And I see these people out there who would dearly love to have a child, but what makes me so mad is that I'm hearing from nurses, they have the abortion, that child is still alive, then it's allowed to die in a kidney tray up to 5 hours. And they can't look after it, they can't, have the child survive. There's so many people out there who would dearly love to have a child. Take the child, look after it, give it to a couple that wants it. That woman who's aborted the child has no rights over that child whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. So in Queensland, where you're from, there is no legislated right to equal care for that child. So if a child survives their abortion, there's nothing in the law that says that child should get life-sustaining treatment if they could live, or even palliative care, so treating them with dignity.
It's wrong.
And there was 49 babies who survived their abortion and were left to die in Queensland in 2022. So 49 babies, that's 2 whole classrooms.
Just off the top of my head now, that takes me back to the Germans, how they treated people there in the Holocaust and how they just treated people and murdered them. This is murder.
It absolutely is. And, in Queensland at the Royal Brisbane Hospital, baby Xantha survived her abortion in 2020 and just at the start of the pandemic. And she survived her abortion and they dumped her in an empty hospital room and just left her to die there. And so, you know, at that stage, she wasn't going to survive because she was 19 weeks, which is pre-viability.
Yeah.
But the thing about that, she was a person. She was a little baby girl. She deserved to be picked up and held. She deserved to receive warmth, not just to be dumped on a kidney dish. It's just really inhumane. But I think it's really uncomfortable to think about.
They got more feelings for animals than what they do human life. And that's how I see it. And I think that's pretty bad. And I understand how people feel about their animals and they want to protect and look after them. Why is a human life less valuable?
Yeah, so I agree with you, Pauline, and I have a different view to you on abortion. I'm against all abortion because all abortion is a human life. All abortion kills a human being. I was pro-choice in my early 20s, member of the Labor Party, card-carrying feminist, and then I guess I went on a journey around this in that I started to realise, well, okay, late-term abortion is clearly wrong because you've got a viable baby. That baby could just be induced early and alive. You know, many people know people that were born at 23, 24, 25, 26 weeks. They're walking around today.
Yep.
You can't tell that they were born at 23 weeks, and yet we're killing, you know, in South Australia where we are now, there's 79 babies that have been killed between 23 weeks and birth, perfectly healthy. So there was nothing wrong with them. They weren't disabled. The mother was perfectly physically healthy, not in an emergency situation at all. So there could have been a C-section done and that baby could have been delivered alive, and instead they killed the baby. Do you know how they do it?
No, no, I don't. Do they go in and crush the skull? In
a late-term abortion, what they do, from 23 weeks and up until birth, you've got an abortionist who has a woman who's received a local anaesthetic, but they're doing an ultrasound. So they're looking at this baby that's alive, kicking, you know, sucking their thumb, and they locate the left ventricle of the heart. They fill a needle full of poison they inject the baby's heart with poison. The baby goes into cardiac arrest and it causes searing agony. So they're not sedated first. Even in animals, we will sedate animals.
That's right, I did read that.
And then the mother receives drugs and she delivers the baby vaginally and dead. And so why are we delivering these babies dead? We could just skip the injection and deliver them alive. They're healthy. In South Australia, 75% of late-term abortions kill a healthy baby. But the crushing the skull, that's in the second trimester. I find that method brutal. They rip the arms and legs off from their sockets with metal forceps, and then they finally crush the skull. So they pull out this baby in pieces between 13 and 23 weeks.
What is wrong with our politicians? What is wrong with the people out there? If you support this, you're just, that's inhumane. And to me, you've got to be sick. You really have. To do this. I think it's so wrong. And like I said, so many people out there are just dying to have a child, do anything to have a child. And they could have, you know, have these unwanted children. I just feel so wrong. And why I said that I accept abortion up to a certain period of time, you know, women out there are being raped. We don't know, we can't put ourselves in the shoes of women, how they can, because some of them are sole parents by themselves trying to raise their children. I've been in that situation. And I think that these must be taken into consideration, of that woman's circumstances right up to about, I'd say 12 weeks, maybe even 16 weeks, to consider their circumstances. You can't all say, oh, have the baby and all the rest of it. That person has to be able to raise the baby. That's the problem that we have. A lot of these kids are brought into the world, they're unwanted, they're not loved, they end up on the streets, they end up in crime, and you know, if you're going to have a child, make sure they're loved and really wanted and cared for, not for whatever reason. And I don't think a woman should be burdened with a child if they don't want that child, if she's been through a rape.
Yeah, I think that this is a really good conversation to be having, because everyone who's watching is going to be
well, you
be
know
having,
my feelings, right?
Yeah.
You know my opinion.
One thing I really like about you is your honesty. Like I feel like
I'm not going to hold back. I'm a member of Parliament. Yeah. People expect me to know my views and the way I think about things. Yeah. They have a right to know who they're voting in there, how I'm going to, you know, see things through, how I'm going to vote on these issues.
Yeah, and I completely understand that perspective around rape. Just that for a woman who's been through that, I think a lot of us think that if we force her to have this child, she's carrying her rapist baby, and that's going to be a double trauma.
And can she actually carry on to have the child? How is she going to survive? the circumstances around it. It's not for us to decide that. But I don't want people also to use abortion as a way of not taking on full responsibility.
Yeah.
There's enough contraceptives out there to deal with the issue that you don't get yourself pregnant.
Yeah. I think I'll tell you where I got to on that one, and then we can move on if you want. We don't need to do a deep dive into one of the hardest questions on abortion, but where I got to on this is either if what's inside a mother's uterus is human, then we have to work out under what circumstances is it acceptable to kill or to end the life of that human being. So, if I show you 2 ultrasound pictures, one of my daughter and one of a child conceived in rape, would you be able to tell the difference between them just looking at the ultrasounds?
Of course you can't tell a difference, and that's not the way to go with it, because the whole fact is that your child was out of love and wanted a child. The other one is not that loved and wanted a child, and you can't just go on the child itself. You have to go on the circumstances, how that child is going to come into the world. Is that child going to be loved and wanted and cherished? And that's up to the decision of the woman at the time, up to a certain time. And that's just my strong opinion.
Yeah.
I do not want, people being forced into having children, even children who are very much disabled, or to bring those children into the world. Is it fair on the child if they're knowing that they're going to have a life with trauma and disability and that type of thing, even on the parents?
Yeah. So I guess I have a different view that if you've got a human being, they've got human rights, and when we carve it up based on the type of life we think they're going to have, or the conditions upon which they were conceived, or the fact that they're disabled, we are actually doing what they did in Nazi Germany, where they looked at Jews and said, you're subhuman. Like when we carve up different groups of human and say you don't have human rights because of X, other than the fundamental thing that binds everybody, which is that they're human, I do think it leads to grave atrocities. But I think one of the things that you and I both agree on is that late-term abortion is a grave wrong. I think, and I also think that this is a really important conversation to have, because we're not allowed to have it. There is such a taboo around abortion. The mainstream media will only ever push one side, same with most political parties.
Because they don't want the people to know that there is such a thing as late-term abortion, to have it the day before the birth of the child. This is why it's been shut down.
Yeah.
And, that's why they won't discuss it, debate it.
Yeah, and so, when I look at you, Pauline, actually... I sometimes, you're going to think this is so crazy, but I look at you and think, I see some similarities in that I've sort of broken through on this abortion issue and really blown it up. And, now every month on social media we're reaching 7 million people through our content, and our movement's over 200,000 people. So we're really making a difference. But as a result, I've had 6 investigations at the University of Adelaide. Even though I've done nothing wrong, had to take my own employer to the Fair Work Commission. Even though their own investigation found I hadn't breached the code, they ordered me to do an anti-bias course, and no way was I going to do that, And so the commission came down on my side, and I didn't have to, and I'm still there. But I've had hit piece after hit piece in the mainstream media, and I've been banned from the South Australian Parliament without any investigation, without doing actually any of the things that they said I did.
Honey, start to worry when they throw you in jail.
Yeah, has that happened to you yet?
Yes. I went to prison.
Yes, you did.
2003.
So I want to know what is this like? What is it like being Pauline Hanson? Because I have had a little glimpse of what they try to do when you counter the mainstream narrative, and you dare say things that you think are true. That it's not like you're making them up to be controversial. You genuinely believe the things that you say, and you have done that probably more than anybody. What's it like?
For the past 30 years.
Yeah.
Well, I'm no different to you, am I? So you're wearing my shoes. You're wearing it for this issue. You're passionate about this. You want to get the message out. You want to inform Australians. You want to stand up for those Australians out there. I'm no different. That I will keep pushing the issue on many things. I'm fortunate enough to be a member of Parliament, that I have the floor of Parliament to have my say. And that's why I take this job, with the honour and privilege and responsibility that it carries with it. But I have a responsibility to Australian people out there. I'm not kowtowing to the major political parties pushing their agenda. I want the people to know what is actually happening. So it's just not abortion. right across the board, whether it's immigration, cost of living, net zero, everything out there.
Yeah.
Gender dysphoria, what they're doing to our kids. You know, I'm trying to raise issues to inform people to wake up to what the hell is going on.
I love that. And you couldn't have done it from the Liberal Party because they're just so scared. Like they're just so scared, and the bureaucracy in that party.
Because they agree with it as well.
Yeah. Well, I think there's some people in there that are very good people. I really do. Like people like Alex Antic, I have a lot of time for.
Then
but the
why aren't they speaking out? They're in a position. I have no regard for those. I like Alex. I get on well with Alex, and he does cross the floor and vote with One Nation, Many Issues. But the fact is, how can you respect these politicians who tell you behind closed doors they agree with you, but on the floor of Parliament because they're with a political party? Are they really representing the people or protecting their own jobs and don't want to speak out against their political parties? You have less respect for them.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I have a real problem with politicians. This Alex, I don't believe Alex is one of these, but I speak a lot about Liberal Party politicians who try and mop up Conservative votes and say that they're pro-life behind closed doors, and then they go out into the Parliament and they're just gutless, they're useless. And,
of course they are. But who's to say that the Labor Party members of Parliament aren't the same?
Oh, Labor's even worse.
They follow the party line. But you can't tell me every one of them is in agreement with having late-term abortions.
No. I think that a lot of these people, 99% of politicians in this country choose their career over doing what's right, and you are an outlier because I genuinely think that you have chosen to do what you believe in your heart is right at every possible opportunity.
Of course I do.
So I grew up when I was younger. I actually remember being introduced to you by that 60 Minutes episode where I can't remember the journo's name, but she said to you...
Tracy Curio.
She asked you, she said, you probably have it seared in your memory.
Oh, yes, I do.
She said to you, are you xenophobic? And you said...
Please explain.
Yeah, I love it. And now you've got a whole series going, so you've gone viral off that moment. And I love that too. I actually think 9 out of 10 Australians probably didn't know what xenophobic meant either at that point. It's a word that now has hit the consciousness.
The CEO of Shell Australia, I think it was at the time, said to me, I didn't even know what it meant.
Yeah.
So you're right.
No, it's become a thing now, like Black Lives Matter, etc. Like people are really obsessed with race. But when you were asked that question, it was a total setup. And,
of course it was.
Yeah. And can I just ask you, what does it feel like to be that person in that moment?
Well, okay, I sat there and I had my advisor sitting to one side and she said, are you xenophobic? And I thought, running through my mind, okay, I can try and bluff my way through this if I know what it means, or I can actually, say something, look, I don't know. And then I thought, no, I'm just going to say, please explain. My advisor went like this and he's going like him at the side and he's shaking his head. Anyway... He was, I think, disgusted with me that I just said, please explain. I wasn't going to lie to the people. I wanted to be upfront. Oh, okay, please explain. What does it mean? So now I say to people, and I sign posters with please explain. Is a common word on the floor of Parliament. They ask a question, please explain. And I tell people, if you don't know anything, ask for a please explain.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. We need a please explain on abortion up to birth. We totally do. So let me ask you then, I grew up thinking Pauline Hanson's racist because that's what the mainstream media wants me to believe. Yep. Are you racist?
Am I?
Yeah.
God, no.
I didn't think you were.
No, I'm not. I'm not racist.
But that's what they try to make people think about you. You know that.
Of course I did, because I questioned immigration. I wasn't against immigration, but I want to make sure that it's done in a managed way, that people will assimilate into the country and want to be Australians. And don't bring your rubbish from overseas and here to Australia and change this country into the place that you've left. And welcome people. I was married to a Polish refugee after the Second World War. My first husband was a Polish refugee. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, there you go.
I only know what the mainstream media tells me about you.
Yeah, right. Don't listen to them. But, different things. I've had people from all different cultural backgrounds have stood as candidates for me, for the party. And you know what? They get there because they merit. And it's not about tokenism. And that's what the other major political parties do. It's
totally
tokenism.
Totally agree.
It's not me.
So I am with you. I am originally from India, and I believe that if you come to Australia, the thing that unites us is that we're Australian. That
has
is
to be.
100% what I believe. I don't believe in quotas. I think we should be a meritocracy. I think the left's obsession with victimhood. But the reason I asked you, are you racist? I obviously knew you weren't, but the media tries to present me as anti-woman because I would dare question abortion up to birth. And that's just what they do.
They've got to tag you.
Yeah, one of the ways they cancel you. So tell me about going to jail, because that might be on the cards for me one day. What's it like?
Well, I keep saying to them now, what can they do? Lock me up?
Yeah.
I've already been there, so I know what that's about.
Were you actually in jail?
Oh, yeah, for 11 weeks, maximum security. I had a 3-year jail term.
Maximum security?
Yeah. So anyway, with other murderers and different ones.
Wow.
What
were they like to be with? The other people?
Very much I kept to myself in many ways. There was no hiding who I was. I was on the news. And so I actually gained confidence actually from an Aboriginal girl. She was in there having her 7th baby. She was 27.
Wow.
Anyway, Gracie was, she actually got to know me. And the day that I got released, she cried. She said, I'm going to miss you. She wrote me a beautiful letter. She said, you've been my angel to help me through all this.
Yeah.
Anyway, I helped her when I was in there to ensure that when she got out of jail, she would actually have a mission house to go to with her children, start a new life. There was once with a convicted murderer too, and these 2 women, this convicted murderer and this other one, were having a fight in there, and the prison guard came to me. She said, Pauline, she said, I don't know if you can sort this out with them. She said, if you don't, she said, we're going to have to lock down this afternoon. No one will get visitors. So I had to go and talk to both of them, sort out their issues. I told them to pull their heads in.
So it sounds like you got pretty busy in jail, keeping the peace, supporting vulnerable pregnant women.
Yeah. So anyway, a couple of things, and getting another prisoner to be able to see her kids, and giving them their rights, and helping them out with these little issues, or getting them commission house.
Yeah, good on you. And then after jail, I guess, now I sort of feel like in this more recent period, you told me before the interview, can I say you're 71? Is that on the public record?
Yeah, very much on the public record.
Very much on the public record.
I can't get away from it every year.
Oh, okay. All right.
But let me just tell you about the prison. I had a 3-year jail term, took my 3rd appeal to get released, and my whole sentence was quashed. All right? So it was only over the registration of a political party. They said they weren't members of a political party, they were members of my support movement. That was the whole case.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry I don't know the details, but that is insane.
Yeah, I know.
That is so insane. I'm glad you put that on the record for people. So
they had to stop me. That's where it came from. Started from Tony Abbott. Tony Abbott raised the funds to actually start the case against me.
Really?
He's apologised to me since.
Okay.
But as he said to me, he said, you were taking the votes away from the Liberal Party, we had to stop you.
Wow. That's just mind-blowing. Sorry, you get so much in your own bubble. So when I got banned last year, the things that they said was that I was roaming the corridors unsupervised in the Parliament. And a member of Parliament had swiped me in. You have to be swiped in to get into those. They said that I was yelling when the vote was taking place, and you couldn't see that on the cameras or hear it, and I wasn't yelling. They literally just made everything up. But what the media does is they then say she's banned, and they paint you as this thing, So you're in jail, you clearly must be a criminal, And then no one knows the actual details, which it was just a total beat up, and it was completely politically motivated.
Yeah. It was. As Bronwyn Bishop, who was the Speaker of the House, and with the Liberal Party, she said I was Australia's first political prisoner.
Wow.
Right.
It takes its toll, but you don't regret speaking up, I'm assuming, because you're still doing it.
Oh God, no. No.
Yeah.
If I regret doing it, then don't stand for Parliament. Right?
Yeah.
Don't get yourself in the kitchen. If it gets too hot in the kitchen, then get the hell out of it and put people in there who can do the job.
One of the problems we've got is that the right is so divided. There is like a zillion parties on the right. I sort of feel like on the left, the Greens have been extremely effective at sort of mobilising that radical left, we love everything evil kind of vote. And then on the right, you've got like Clive Palmer, the Libertarians, you've just got all of these different parties, Family First. It just feels, and as Sarah's left your party, started a party, it just feels like there's a zillion parties What do we do? Like, how do we get
They're falling over. If you have a look at it, Jackie Lambie thought she'd go somewhere. She's gone nowhere.
Yeah.
Darren Hinch went nowhere. Corey Bernardi went nowhere. Palmer's finished now.
Yeah.
So has Jared Rennick. He won't go anywhere. The ones who's lasted the test of time has been One Nation and still getting people elected to Parliament, state and federal. So we have, and I have no intentions of joining up with all these little minor groups who will actually cause factions within One Nation. So if you're thinking, I'm going to join up with them, forget about it, it's not going to happen. It's One Nation.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to have factions within my own party which will destroy us. And that's what's happened with a lot of these other ones. And people have to realise, if you want representation, if you want the Australian values, if you want us to stand up and fight for you, it has to be One Nation.
Okay, but you are 71, so what's the future of the party? Because I do think without you, there's some really good people in the party. Like, I have a lot of time for Senator Malcolm Roberts, for example. But what's the future of the party without you at the helm?
Well, I'm standing at the next election, so I will stand. We'll see how I go. I'm in great health. No problems there.
I can see that.
Thank you. So anyway, look, I've got good people coming through.
Yep.
And I think that there are people I'm looking at. My daughter's now come on board with the party. She'll be standing in the next election. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket with Pauline Hanson, right? That's not why I started the party, thought that it's going to dissolve once I'm finished in politics, and that's why I'm putting people into place and getting good people elected to Parliament who will actually carry my legacy through and fight for the Australian people. So don't think just because Pauline Hanson won't be here. I have become that face of the party. But and it started. The Liberal Party started under Menzies, so Menzies gone, but the Liberal Party's still there. So don't feel that because I may not be here eventually in time. I do want to retire one day. I'd love to.
Yeah, but I imagine this has been such a big part of your life. You want to leave the party in very good shape.
Of course I do.
That you do.
I'm not going to leave until I know it is in good shape, and I've got good hands to hand it on to, and people there for the right reasons.
Because there are some real problems facing our country. Like, you identified some of them before. I think our immigration system is a mess. With the net zero obsession is
the cost of living. You look at the cost of electricity here in South Australia; it's just through the roof. And yet they're determined to actually run it on renewables, but they can't because renewables only supply 30% of your power. It's got to be backed up by gas. And this is where in South Australia we're going to put out a policy, put in one of your new coal-fired power stations where they blasted the other one and got rid of it. Because they're 90% emissions free. Use the resources that we have. Further down the track, we've got to look at, you've got to open up the gas fields. You've got to supply the gas. A lot of industries and manufacturing rely on gas to keep their businesses going. And unless we deliver cheap power, you will not have jobs, you will not have industries, manufacturing. You're going to be still buying more stuff from overseas countries. Our dollars will leave the country, and you will not have the taxes that we need to actually provide the services. And I guarantee to people out there, within 10 to 15 years, we keep heading down this path, we're going to be a first world country with third world living conditions.
Yep. So let's talk finally then about what you're planning to do in the Parliament this week. You're going to ask some questions of Minister Katie Gallagher about the late-term abortion payment.
Yes, I am. I'm putting questions together. I wanted to ask at the last sitting of Parliament, but I actually got sick and I had to go home sick. So anyway, one of my other senators was going to ask it, and I said, and I thought, yeah, okay, you're a dad, you're a man, family man. And then I thought, no, it has to come from a woman, because I just feel that coming from a woman, they might disregard a man, and I don't want to leave anything open there for criticism or having a go at him, and then they'll ask, well, why couldn't Pauline answer the question? I couldn't have got my message out, I wasn't well, and I left Parliament. So that's why I definitely want to ask the questions myself, as a mother myself of 4 children, and know what it's like to be pregnant and to go through that. And I could not even begin to think of losing that baby right up just before birth. I just don't know. I cannot understand any woman doing that.
So
it boggles my mind. I think it's just horrendous, and I thought you've got not a caring bone in your body to do that, and then know that you leave that child to die in a kidney dish. I think it's disgusting.
Yeah. So with a late-term abortion, for those of you who are just catching up, because there might be some people here who haven't come across this issue before.
Yeah.
So abortion's legal up to birth, but in Australia under the Albanese government, they're actually using the stillborn parenting payment and giving women who have an abortion late, so after 20 weeks, if that baby, so if they inject the baby's heart with potassium chloride and then the baby is delivered stillborn, so that is the method of a late-term abortion typically. Once that baby is born stillborn, the woman becomes eligible for the stillborn parenting payment, which is meant to go for women who tragically lose their baby naturally. And that's a great tragedy, but this is now a subversion. It's a handout, $4,300 for a late-term abortion. Now, you would remember the Howard government's baby bonus. People said that was causing a whole lot of teenage pregnancies.
Yes, it was.
But you can imagine a payment of $4,300 for a late-term abortion by the Albanese government would have even more rorts. You stay pregnant for half the time and get almost the same amount of money.
I agree with you. There are so many people out there really on their knees and struggling, and those women who may consider this, my God, I'm going to get over $4,000 if I bought this baby, and possibly would go ahead and do it. But a lot of these people are also on drugs. They want their drugs. This is the way they can get payment for their drugs. Yep. You have to look at all circumstances, and that's why I was shocked when I heard about that. I didn't know this until just recently, and shocked to learn about it. And I'm sure that a lot of you listeners out there have no idea that they're paying this for murder.
Yeah.
It's for murder.
It is for murder. I think one of the reasons it might have come across your desk is because I've been doing some series on this on YouTube and socials, and one of the people that follow me wrote to Katie Gallagher's office and said, is this true? And the minister actually wrote back saying, yes, the stillborn parenting payment can be used for intentional abortions. Which is just shocking. Like it's.
I need to get. I need to get.
I'll share that letter with you.
Yeah, if you can, because
I have published it on X, but it is just absolutely shocking.
But I also heard and confirmed this with me. Can they get the maternity leave as well?
So as far as I can tell, the eligibility criteria for the stillborn parenting payment and paid parental leave is the same, except for paid parental leave you need to have been working for the previous 9 months. But if you have a stillborn baby, you actually get to choose, do I want the $22,840 or do I want the $4,300? Now, if I was routing this system for a late-term abortion, which one would you pick?
Well, the more.
The 22,000. And people, the biggest criticism you're going to get, so I just want you to know what people are going to say. They're going to say, Pauline, no one has a late-term abortion for shits and giggles. These are really difficult situations, and women are like heartbreaking situations where their baby's going to die or their life is at risk. Something you should know is that the data is very clear. 75% of late-term abortions in South Australia kill perfectly healthy babies, and the mum's not in an emergency, because if she was, we would do an emergency caesarean. We wouldn't waste time. So you're going to get that. And yeah,
honey, I'll handle it. I'll deal with it.
Yeah, I forget who I'm talking to. I don't need to prepare you.
Don't worry about me.
Good. Yeah, you're fine. You're used to the attacks. Okay. Yeah, that's completely true. All right, so it's going to be a big week in Parliament. Yeah. And
it always is.
What do you expect Katie Gallagher to say? She loves abortion. She's a member of Emily's List, so this is a big thing for her.
Depends on how I frame the question, what I put to her, and how the response is. So anyway, let's see if we can get the truth out of her on the floor of Parliament and answer to me.
All right, well, good luck.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming in for the interview.
Oh, look, it's my pleasure. And these are things that we should stand up together. Whatever our issue is, you know, it's only when you get that support and you stand together that you can make a difference. Yeah. That's what people out there must realise. You know, this is your issue. It's also my issue. But anything else that's of concern to Australians, get together, speak up, don't sit back and whinge about things. Yeah. We can make a difference.
I completely agree. I feel like I was really afraid of doing this. So I when I posted that first video to social media, because I guess at that point I was an associate professor of law, I'd been a Rhodes Scholar, I had 5 children. I was nervous about, my mortgage, my career, all of it. But ultimately I feel a deep sense of peace now, because I've been doing it for 3 years. I just feel this sense of peace that I'm doing the right thing. And I think if I hadn't done it I probably would feel such a restlessness. I would be bitching and whinging about the direction of the world. You know, the stuff that they're teaching our kids in schools, like these so-called safe schools, and all of the boys and girls sport, all of the stuff that's going on. But at least now I feel like I'm trying to make this a better world. I'm trying to take us back from where Albanese and the Greens want us to go, and where the Liberals are just limply, following.
Yeah.
And I think that same can be said about you 100 times more, that over the course of your career you've really done what you thought was right.
I'm trying to lead the way for a lot of other Australians to actually stand up for their beliefs. The only one that can put you down, and I say to a lot of people, put yourself up on a pedestal. No one can pull you down except yourself. It's your inner strength and who you are. That's what you stand up for. These people that are going to whinge and complain about you, they don't pay your bills, they don't put a roof over your head or food on your table. All they want to do is try and pull you down. Don't allow them. Stand up on what your values, your morals, and you know the inner strength, who you are. And therefore, I think you can win in the long run.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Pauline.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.